Welcome to the countdown. While you wait for the show to begin, try to relax, grab a drink, sit down, and just enjoy the music.
Yeah. Ooh, whoa.
Don't Christina it out.
Okay.
A little bit of land goes a long, long way. If you believe everything is okay, a little bit of land goes a long, long way. Sign the lease, bring the rigs today. Everybody say money, love, money, 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 more money, money, more money, money.
She looks metallic.
Though I can't quite recall overnight sensation.
Welcome to the job tonight, season 15 finale, aka the winning lap for Madonna. We did not see that coming, but then again, it feels correct. First of all, let's greet the almighty chat. We have Sen, Weasel, Girly, Moyo, Orchidude, Deborah, Sing Blue Silver, Rasp6AY, Blazing, Icy, Fei, Alyssa's back rolls. Who else is here? Girly, if I mention. Did I mention? Yes. And Amateur Season, our oldest fan. Okay, so let's address the elephant in the room because, oh, Joey, thank you for coming. Merzana, welcome. Because I see an incredibly charged comment by someone already from our last video. Now, what do I think about all of that? There have been some people leaving some nasty comments on both sides, actually. There was, at the worst, there was a racial slur from Lux to Lux that was expected. There was some pushback, of course. What do I think about all of this? Well, I think that I worded myself in the best way possible. And I think that the important thing is that what happened this season, we don't see happening in the next season. Because at the end of the day, people will do whatever they feel compelled to do in the moment. The problem is, Drag Race is a disorienting environment. So, whatever you do in there, you need to be prepared to not go over a certain limit. Because, yes, it's nice to have some fun drama. Yes, it's nice to have some spicy competition. But the moment production might invite you, let's say it like this, to mistreat other people, to me that's simply unacceptable, and that's something that I have always done on this channel. I mean, when I start discussing the edit, I remember people throwing literal insult, saying that no, the edit doesn't exist, you just want to defend your favorites and things like that. Or people coming and saying, oh my god, you are fat phobic. Imagine me being fat phobic. I mean, or that there is a bias. I guess those people were not there when we were talking about Shitty Pie, Miss Relatable, Nina West doing her thing in a room of drunken people who may or may not being able to say, yes, I agree with that, and all things like this. I mean, at the end of the day, what I think happens is that some people will just embrace an ideology, which is not necessarily a wrong ideology, but the moment defending your ideology forces you to deny the mistreatment on other people, well, then you are doing not something that it's not much different than what the people who claim to be against us actually do. So for me, I have very little tolerance for vulnerable people put into difficult situation. It can be fan backlash due to edit. It can be people simply not respecting other people. It can be people who find themselves in situations in which they are simply unable to control the way they behave. Nevertheless, we need to be responsible, and we need to acknowledge these things that actually happen, because nobody is really willing to discuss them at the end of the day. What you will find on main commentary channels are basically safe takes and, well, how can I say it? Virtue signaling. I mean, everybody is out there to say things like, oh, yes, do not be nasty to black queens, do not be fatphobic, and blah, blah, blah. But nobody willing to sit down and discuss those issues in a critical manner and go point by point and show both sides of the story. So I think that's really the problem. I found it incredibly discouraging that many people refuse to get this message across, because equality is equality. It doesn't see skin color, it doesn't see shape of the body, it doesn't see where it come from. I mean, that's the background where I come from. To me, mistreating other people has really nothing to do with all of those issues. Those are human issues. So I'm going to call them out, whether it is production, whether it is people refusing to take responsibility and refusing to addressing things. Because think about it for a moment. It would have been a very difficult very different situation if those people came out and say, listen, production told us to go full force on this. So, you know, you are there. They are in charge of the way you will appear. What are you supposed to be doing? What do? Do you say no? Do you go home? You feel it would have been a completely different story, because it is a side of the story. But then again, you cannot go outright and deny things that on top of the edit that worked most in their favor definitely happened. So I was very, very puzzled. I was very, very puzzled by what happened, to the point that I'm actually considering avoiding discussing all these issues altogether. I mean, it's not difficult to go out there and just virtue signal and call it a day. So I'm like, we'll see. We'll see about that. Personally, I am physically and emotionally drained by having to go through all of that. Now, since these are difficult topics, the point is I have to actually read the comments. I have to make sure that people don't go too far. It's part of the responsibility that YouTube gives us when they say you have to moderate your comment section. Now, I don't mind with people disagreeing. I have a problem with outright insults or people simply coming to the comment section and being nasty without even watch the video. I mean, if you want to make a critic point by point, it's more than welcome. But yes, I have to go through all of those comments, and some of them are really, really harsh for no reason whatsoever than just following a plain straight ideology, because they bring no real point by point. So at least the vast majority of them. Regardless, let's discuss let's discuss the reunion. Of course, since I gave it all to the video that I have, I didn't have time to make slides, so this is going to be quite a short live stream. But what I do have is an actual screen grab of the finale itself. So we can go through point by point, see what we like, see what we didn't like, and try to discuss what happened. Yes, I know, I'm not really motivated tonight. I think I'm going to have to ask the majority of you if you can help me with the comments work and try to explain people who come to the comment section without even watching the video. Like, I mean, it's not the first time that happened, but I mean, it is how it is. It is how it is. So let's start. Queen entrances. Did you have any favorite? Because I liked very much what Irene, Sugar, Lucy, Lux, and Madonna was serving. I was very surprised by Lucy. She was kind of auditioning for Dragula. I don't know if I have it. Let's go there. Where is she? There it is. There it is. That's an audition tape for Dragula. She clearly wanted to participate in season 5. That was amazing. I also appreciated Marsha. Marsha really said to RuPaul, go fuck yourself. I'm going to wear something simple. I'm going to have simple makeup. This is what I am. This is what I do. And that's how she's going to do it. That was really good. With that said, we have a little bit of a music number with Mamaru that at this point has become normal. We have to go through this. Of course, we have our backup dancers because they always help a little bit. The song is Mamaru song is kind of okay, but you know, at least it goes kind of fast because the point of the reunion for me is the queens. I want to see the queens. Give me more queens. So we have the top 4 performances. Now, I did not particularly enjoy let's see if we can go through them. I did not particularly enjoy these performances because they felt very choreographed. They felt very not choreographed. What's the word? It felt like they were prepared for the queens, like they had very little input in the creative part of all of this. It felt very rigid. I don't know how else to describe it. When I compare it to one of my favorite finale, which was incredibly the season 12 finale, that was a very different story. Like when the queens did their numbers, you could really see that it was something that they liked to do, you know? They were like, okay, this is a chance to show the world a different side of us, something that we really appreciate, something that didn't necessarily come in the show, something that we are really good at, something that we can create 100% on our own. That's what I really liked about the season 12. These numbers, they were not bad, but I wasn't wowed by them. I do understand that somehow there was a need to change the format, to go away from the lip-sync finale SmackDown. Personally, I really like that. To me, it worked. At the end of the day, we know that the top 2 is basically popular vote at this moment, unless something incredible happens, like it happened in season 9, where basically it's so gag-worthy that there is no other choice but to change the plan a little bit. I really like the lip-sync finale format. I thought it was more entertaining. For me, it was more entertaining. I mean, these songs were not even sung by the queens. I think they wrote the lyrics, but that's just about it. So basically, production decided everything, who is going to sing, which kind of choreography is going to go over it. So I did not particularly enjoy them. No, They were not bad, but I did not enjoy them. I much prefer either you let the queens do something that's that they have 100% control over, or bring back the lip sync SmackDown. That's what I think about all of this. What else did I want to say about these numbers? Oh no, not about the numbers. The fact that we didn't see much of the queens, did we? I mean, yes, we had a reunion in the hold format, which is something that World of Wonder brought back, which is a very nice thing. I think it was almost even more enjoyable than the actual finale. But we didn't see much of all of the other queens. I mean, the finale should be a celebration of the season, in my opinion. So it's nice that you have a reunion so that the queens can actually discuss things that happened on the season. But the finale itself, to me, it should be more of a celebration of all of these queens. You know, it would have been nice if they had different segments with the queens, or if they showcase them in something that was a little bit more than basically, you know, that segment that we had with Leland and Orville Peck. I mean, I do understand that there is a publicity thing behind it. The Rusical to me was really good. I think there is a very good chance that it could be transformed into a live show, something that either will continue maybe in Vegas or maybe even hit the theaters. So there was kind of a vested interest into presenting a song from the Rusical itself, and having the queens in there participating. By the way, I don't know if you noticed, but where is it? Where's the number? I'm trying to get to the number. Oh, by the way, Sasha looked amazing. Did you see the slides? My God, she looked amazing. At some point, they have this singing number, and I'm like, I found it, you know, a little bit too much. You know, there are moments in which Drag Race really becomes cheesy in a way. This was it. This was this moment. And I mean, the queens are doing their best. They are working. So they're singing to it. They're trying to dance. There's Amethyst living her best life. And then there was Sugar. Sugar was not having it. Sugar was not even lip syncing. He was like, oh my God, I have to do this, then I can go home. Sugar was not having it. If you rewatch it, she was not singing. She was not lip syncing a single word. So, I mean, it's an innocent thing at the end of the day. You need to plug what you need to plug. At the end of the day, it is a business. So it kind of is how it is. I like to believe that the intentions were in the best place, mostly because this episode was very focused on the political side, since I think it was in Tennessee that drag was actually banned. Like, it became a felon, so you could go to prison. I mean, sometimes the US really puzzles me. So it makes complete sense that we go this direction, also because of what the Rusical was about. But there's also, you know, the producer part of me, it's telling me that, yeah, it also works very well as publicity. And then again, if you can catch two or more birds with one stone, why not? There was a segment with Jinx, to which my partner replied, that's the contract of All-Star 7 coming into place. Jinx was forced to appear. And there is a moment, I don't know where it is. Let's try to scroll it. Oh, there we go. There is a moment in which, where is it? There we go. There is a moment in which Jinx is definitely trying to troll Mamaru. I don't know if you noticed. At some point, she out-faked laugh RuPaul so hard that RuPaul got disoriented and started laughing on her own. You know, the Mamaru laugh. That was amazing. I mean, at the end of the day, RuPaul did you see that clip of RuPaul not remembering her name? I think that Dela posted it. Oh no, Dela spilled it, and somebody made a compilation with Dela and RuPaul. She was like, yeah, what's your name? And Jinx was like, it's Jinx. So I don't know. In my fantasy, Jinx was like getting a little bit of retribution for that moment, and I don't know what Mamaru was expecting. If you know Jinx going like, "Oh my God, you are such an inspiration. You are this and you're that." Mamaru is mostly there. You can see that her brain is switched off. She has a script. She needs to go through this work, and she's trying to do her best to do just that. And I think that Jinx went one step forward. You know, she made the one step more. So I did appreciate that. And of course, one of the top moments for the season for me was seeing Willow Pill again. She's amazing. She looked beautiful. And she was funny. She was genuine. That's what I appreciated the most. Well, Jinx is there, and she's like, okay, I need to make my act. I'm probably contractually obligated to do it. They're taking advantage of the fact that I'm getting even more visibility, that I finally landed a famous gig on Broadway. So, of course, they want to associate with that. Jinx was more on the professional side. It's like, okay, I have to do this. Let me troll Mamaru a little bit. Willow really looked like she was happy to be there, like she was having the time of her life. It was amazing. It was beautiful. I love Willow Pill. I cannot say that enough. Now, the Miss Congeniality moment. Malaysia got the Miss Congeniality Award, which felt very well deserved. I think she was one of the most genuine queens on the show. And then the final lip sync. Now, did you like the final lip sync? Because I read some comments that people were not gagged by the final lip sync, that they didn't like the song, that they felt Anitra didn't do enough, that they thought what Madonna was doing was not particularly special and whatever. I thought it was amazing. I love the song. I don't care about big gag-worthy moments. I think that they've been overused, and I think that's one of the reasons why so many people stopped liking the finale in the format of the lip sync SmackDown, because there was this indirect message that you have to do something incredible to wow everyone, instead of just, doing what you do best, the way you want to do it for one final time. Without any worries, without being like, oh my God, I'm going home. Oh my God, who knows what they're going to edit. It's the finale. It is about you. You can do whatever the fuck you want. Just do it the way you want to do it. Let us see it. And this, I think, is what I saw. I mean, Madonna had 2 reveals. At the end of the day, girl, she was almost naked on that stage. I was like, oh my God. Oh my God, look at that. She was just living her best life on the floor. I was like, that's how can you even compete with that? I mean, Anitra is amazing in the lip sync stage, but you cannot compete with that. That was a class act. That was really a class act. I mean, for the whole season, we kind of did see it coming for many different reasons. First of all, that's a talented queen right there. On top of that, that's an amazing person behind it. And on top of that, there's also a political situation that calls for a winner like that. So it was a convergence of so many different things that worked together so well, to a point that basically we all saw Sasha winning basically midway through the season. There was no escape from that. It was one of those inevitable things that you're like, oh my God, yes, thank you. No gag worthy moments, no bullshit, no it's the best conclusion to a season that was highs and low. If I have to give some final opinions on this season, I did appreciate that they got the feedback since season 14, when we had basically shock value all over the place. I thought that World of Wonder didn't manage themselves like they went from one opposite to the other. We went from 2000 non-elimination episodes to episodes in which, and this is something that I said before, it would have felt completely natural to have nobody go home, for example. Like, we're going to have a top 4. It was probably a decision that they made before the season even began. So, since you have that extra episode, I thought that the Rusical was a perfect episode to send Nobody's Home. I thought it was really a great occasion to pull a stunt like that. It would have felt natural. It would have felt genuine. But then again, it seems like they are kind of afraid of going with the flow when they film the season. They have a set of things. It seems like they have a set of things that they have to go with, and they have to stick to that no matter what. And then there is a little bit of wiggle space to try to go with the flow. Like if some specific drama starts to develop, then maybe the queen that had to go home 3 or 4 episodes in the competition ends up going home 7 or 8 episodes because she's giving a little bit more drama, or awarding a win to someone just because she's being more entertaining, she's giving a little bit more television. There's always a little bit of wiggle room. I think it's still not enough. It would feel more genuine, more entertaining if they would just go with the flow. Let them do what they want to do, reward them when they do a very good job, send them home when they don't do a really good job, because at the end of the day, these queens are the show. You can like Michelle Visage, you can like Ross Matthews, you can like all of the other guest judge, you can like RuPaul, but at the end of the day, the queens are RuPaul's Drag Race. The rest is background. So, and if anything, I think that this has been proven by the season that are done from other countries, independently of the fact if Mamaru is there, if World of Wonder is in charge completely of the production or just overseeing it. At the end of the day, these seasons are famous and they gain popularity because of the queens who are there. So I think that World of Wonder went a step in the right direction while not basing a season on shock value alone. But it kind of went from one opposite to the other, because, there were episodes in which we could have clearly have had double chantés. It would have felt correct. No, and don't get me started about Lollapalooza. I do understand that it's a show. I do understand that you want to showcase your stronger performers. But when you have an episode based on the idea that the worst lip syncer will go home, and you end up having the best lip syncers lip syncing multiple times with one of them going home, well, something doesn't feel quite right. And I think it sours the whole thing, because lip syncing is arguably one of the most endearing aspect of drag, one of the most famous aspect of drag, and one of the prominent moments on the show. Lip syncing are so famous that have been picked up by many other shows, to the point of having RuPaul herself lamenting that other shows copied her format because it was so successful. So lip syncs do work. The point is what you do around them. How do you organize them? Like the problem that many people used to have with the Lip Sync SmackDown finale was that they were left with the feeling that all of the queens needed to do something incredible, something, you know, at the level of Sasha Velour, because that was the first time that we had the Lip Sync SmackDown. So it felt like it set a precedent for something that has to be done. And then we went through the butterfly fiasco and everything else. So many people got tired of that. But I think, nevertheless, for me, it was really a winning moment. Now, the past is the past. So if they decided to go somewhere else, yeah, that's their decision. That's their decision. We will still have a final lip sync for the crown. For the next reunion, what I would like to see is a less produced, and by produced I mean the producers of Drag Race, a less produced finale number from the top 4. I would really like the queen do something that they want 100%. It doesn't have to be a song. It doesn't have to be a choreographed number. This is a celebration for them. They survived the season of Drag Race. They earned the right to come to the finale and have 5 fucking minutes to showcase what they really love to do. This is what I want to see. This is what I connect with. So I would do that. I would like to see a little bit more of all of the other queens. At the end of the day, the finale is a big celebration of all of the queens, so I would like to see a little bit more of them. And apart from that, I mean, it was not a bad episode. I did enjoy the reunion more, though. I did enjoy the reunion more. Now let's go through a couple of comments because I've been talking and I completely missed the chat. Orchidude, did you see the leaked footage on YouTube of the taping of Anitra being crowned? No, I didn't see it. What I did see was the reaction to the crowning. So let me set the stage. Basically, Lux dressed like do you remember Alaska in season 5? There is at some point World of Wonder released this footage, which was the winner's reaction to season 5. So Alaska was drunk as hell. She was crying. She was like to Jinx, I am so happy for you. And then I think she said it in an interview. She was like, I was not having it. I was devastated that I didn't win. So Lux dressed like Alaska. And she mimicked her performance. And I was like, yes, why didn't I see more of that side of you? Why didn't you showcase it more? Because I would have lived. Girl, I would have lived. I was like, no, she didn't do that. She did. And you know what really works? That Alaska, she's one of the very, very few queens who really, and she admitted to this, like Monet, like Alaska and Monet are the only queens who really admitted that they wanted to win Drag Race for the sake of winning Drag Race. It was not about getting a fan base. It was not about getting the money. It was not about coming off the best way possible. They wanted to win, period. For some reason, winning Drag Race had a special meaning to them. So, and you know, you also saw it in All Stars 2, you know, in Alaska. Was that whole segment with Alaska. So it was amazing. It was amazing. But I will check it out. Jacob Niner, who was Mr. Invisible favorite queen of the season in general? Sasha Colby. Everybody loved Sasha Colby. But I can call it... Is he sleeping? What time is it? Yes, he's sleeping already. Sasha, we were all Team Madonna. I mean, there is a reason if we call her Madonna. I mean, look at her. I'm going to keep this image on screen. This is what we... Fuck the Paramount logo, we're going to keep this one. Let me go up. Orchid, did you see? Oh, I read this one. Alyssa's Backrolls. I saw a comment on Reddit about Sasha White interview. Look, if that's what your prosecutor look like, you're going to jail. What does that mean? Oh, it's a compliment. Okay. Sorry, I didn't get that. I'm really destroyed. This week has been incredibly hard. So let's have something to drink. Do we have lime water? We don't have lime water. We have normal water. Roman, thank you for coming. Much like Eureka, Sasha is a sex magnet. Oh my god. Did you see Papa Anitra? Because when he came on screen, I was like, oh god, oh my god. Oh my god. This is so unprofessional. Oh my god. That's exactly my kind of man. That's exactly my kind of man. I was like, that's fantastic. Yeah, show me more. Please show me a little bit more. Oh, by the way, once they finished, you know, every queen had their number, and then they had a little bit of a talk with Ru, and then they interview someone from either from their family or their drag family or closest friends. So basically there was a spot on the stage. I don't know if I'm able to show you because I don't want to remove this amazing picture of Madonna. But if you look back at the reunion, you can see that the other queens are always in the same spot, but then the guests change. So they had a specific spot for the guests, and when the queen from the top 4 that was performing was interviewed by Ru, they had different people fill those spots in the theater. So they were not even sitting. I don't know where they set them after that. Maybe it was done for camera purposes, like you have 4 or 5 seats next to the front of the stage and it's easier to get them on camera. So they basically shuffled them around every time there was a different queen that was being interviewed. Another thing that I noticed, and I don't know if it's been discussed, but at some point, the queens changed dresses. Like they went back and forth without dress. Didn't have time to check this, but my partner noticed it. And it was like, do you realize that they went back and forth between different dresses? How the hell did they film this? I have no idea. What I can tell you is that the taping for the finale usually lasts a very long time. We are in the range of 8 to 10 hours. So in those 8 to 10 hours, a lot of things happened. There used to be a time, I remember, where the finale was a big celebration. Like we would have queens from other season coming in, doing the audience warm-up. If you go on YouTube, you can still see these videos. There was one that was my favorite, the House of Edwards came out and did a whole show. So there is a lot going on during the reunion. Obviously, we don't see everything. We see like, I think 15-20% of that. Everything is highly edited. Like the reunion was filmed a couple of weeks ago, but somehow we got footage from live viewing parties as if, you know, they are trying to convince us that it's happening live. And I'm like, just go with the flow. We know it's not live. Don't try to be like, pretend like it's live. I don't know how they accomplished that, because either they edited that on the fly. Like when they filmed it, they knew already which clubs they were going to mention. So Mamaru mentioned them, and that was part of the filming in the finale. And then when they actually aired it, they added live footage. But I don't think that's the case, because that's a kind of edit that you have to do literally on the fly while the show is being edited. So what I think happened is that they went with cameras to all of these places with live viewing parties, maybe recorded their reactions during one of the episodes that was airing, and then showcased it in the actual finale. Sen, Sasha Colby makes me feel a certain type of way, if you know what I mean, aka she is so hot. I perfectly understand. I relate to that. By the way, did any of you notice Kylie in the audience? She looked amazing. She looked amazing. At some point, I wished that, since the whole theme of this finale was reminding everyone the political situations in the US, I would have brought at the same time Kylie on stage and Willow on stage and, be like, we are with you. Amazing. Kylie looked fantastic. Merzana, I loved Bianca in the warming up. Yeah, what was it? Like season 7. There was a warm up by Bianca. Felicia, they equate producing the finale to the Oscars, but without a rehearsal. Well, in a way, the fact that also they created a Drag Race prize, it was awarded to Bob Mackie. We had this whole segment with Bob Mackie. At some point, it looked like it was on stage, and he was like, okay, I have to smile. I know I have to smile, but at some point, what do I have to do? It looked like he didn't know what to do. And that was not the only one. If you watch the performance for the Wig Loose song, there is a specific moment in which Marsha is not sure what she has to do. Like, you can see her on the side of the camera. She's like watching around, insecure, like what do I have to do now? Do I have to look at the camera? Do I have to keep lip syncing? I mean, those are the moments that I enjoy the most. Girly, did you see the live reaction crowning? I didn't manage to catch the footage. I did see an image of Lux impersonating Alaska. So yes, I haven't catched it yet. In case you don't know, I basically slept the whole day yesterday and today. So generally speaking, the direction that an international franchise inevitably has to go, it cannot be like a talk in our living room and we say whatever comes to our mind and that's it, which is enjoyable. There is not much producing going there, but you are referring basically to a worldwide audience in a political climate that it is how it is. So I do understand, at least in this case, I do understand the need to keep everything under tight control. I do understand that. Especially because at the end it doesn't really hurt anybody. What it does hurt is maybe the entertainment value of the reunion, yes. But I mean, at the end of the day, it was a long season. These seasons of 16 episodes, to me, are a little bit way too long. I enjoy a longer season if it's something that completely draws me in. I could even go through a season of 30 episodes. I don't care. If you imagine iconic seasons like season 6, for example, or season 5, or All Stars 2, even All Stars 3 and 4. Imagine if they went on for 5 or 6 more episodes. We would have been all happy with that because everything worked. Not only the queens together, the kind of approach to the competition actually worked. We had time to notice different dynamics. Nothing was necessarily overly cut out or overly emphasized, apart from villain edits, which of course were the main narratives of season 5, for example. But they felt very, very entertaining. Like, if you notice, in this season there are major points that are completely cut out, like the fact that Malaysia adopted Spice as her drag daughter. I mean, they went as far as they talked about the fact that they basically talk every day. They created a very strong bond filming for Drag Race. We saw nothing of that. In part was because of the 40-minute run. In part, I think it was done to not distract the viewers on other narratives and keep them more focused on the narratives that they actually wanted to push for the show. So I think that's a little bit of a loss. What I do enjoy are the queens. What I do enjoy are their dynamic. I think that part of the problem was the fact that, according to rumors, they had to cut the episodes to 40 minutes when they were really supposed to be 1 hour. So they had to do the best they can with the time that they have. But it came really at the expense of many queens, because there are many queens who I have like literally zero idea of who they are, which kind of dynamics they add on the show, what they represent, which kind of talents they want to showcase, what they are good at, what they're not good at. It feels like they ended up edited in a way where they feel like part of the what's the name? Part of the background. You know, they were just there because, you know, we had to have longer seasons. We had to have more episodes. But then again, think about it for a moment. When we used to have 40 minutes episodes, I never left really unsatisfied. Rarely I was left with the impression that I didn't get to know enough of this queen, to the point where it felt like 40 minutes was a good format. When we actually did the shift from 40 minutes to 1 hour, I remember many people complained about that. They were like, I don't have time for 1 hour. That's an episode that's 50% longer than what I'm used to. I don't have time for that. It's not interesting to me. Those were many of the initial reactions when there was the shift from 40 minutes to 1 hour. Of course, there were people who were happy about it. I think in the beginning they managed it very well. But I don't know. I was left with the idea that they could have done more with this season. They could have done more with this cast, and they could have created more interesting dynamic if they had another elimination order. Like, I mean, imagine if Irene was there. She's shady, she is vocal, she can be reasonable, she can be truthful. She is gold reality television. So sending her home so soon, I thought it was a big loss to the show. Other queens that I would have liked to see more about were Robin. Robin was definitely cut out of the season. I wanted to see more about Amethyst, and I wanted to see a little bit more about Poppy. I don't know, there's something about Poppy. I thought, I mean, she quit drag apparently, but I thought that I was impressed by her talent show. I really enjoyed it. Girly, did you see the live? Oh, I read this comment already. Is the chat scrolling? My chat is not scrolling. Blazing, Anitra got her All-Stars filler without even being on All-Stars yet. Icon, yes, I noticed it as well. I was like, it was in the interview when they were not in drag. I thought she did lips a little bit, but I mean, Let's have something to drink. Feifei, the season 1 to 9 edit was much more evenly distributed among the queens. Yes, I think so. I also think that the producers were a little bit more original. Like, I think that the most of the producers that we had in the early seasons of Drag Race are still there. Most of them. At least the high-level producers, those are all still there. I think everybody else shuffled. But what we did have in the earlier season were producers that were more in the game. They were not really afraid to do things differently, even to do things that would be considered weird today, like having queens doing day drag and going outside and talking to people, you know, things that are very unconventional. They were not afraid to produce things like these. I have a feeling that the new producers, or at least the mindset that we have from the big producers in the new season, they're really resting on pretty. They don't take many risks. They don't push a little bit the boundaries, which at the end of the day, that's what drag is all about, independently from the fact that it became basically a mainstream form of entertainment. And you know what happens when everything becomes mainstream. Inevitably, it gets rounded up a little bit. You don't have time to see all of the rough hedges, which to me are some of the most endearing part of everything. Mertzana, robbing Fierce was fiercely robbed. You see, they tried to go. You can really see that they cast her and Amethyst, which, by the way, is a type of quartz, because of the relationship that they have. Because they tried to push it in the reunion as well. It's like, okay, we need 16 queens. We like these 6 queens. This is our top 6. Everybody else will have to give something. So what do? Okay, we have Sugar and Spice. That's good association. We can cater to their fan base. We can cater to TikTok user. Who else is on TikTok? Oh, well, Amethyst is on. Okay, let's get Oh, she had a relationship with this other queen. Let's cast them together. It felt very much like this. Like when they do the auditioning, I don't know if many of you know this, but when they do the auditioning for Drag Race, there is a questionnaire. I know because I tried to apply, not because I wanted to compete, but because I wanted a copy of the contract. They ask you, who do you resemble? They ask you a ton of questions, like, who do you resemble? Which queens do you know? Which queens do you know from the show? Which queens inspire you? I think they also ask you, who is your drag mother? You know, they ask you all of these background questions already. As the very, very first step in the auditioning part of the show. And then once they get all of these information, they get a group of queens that they decide, okay, we could possibly cast, our cast is among this group of queens, which, I don't know, I think a reasonable number would be about 50. And then they do the proper interviews. So, you know, background is part of the whole casting process. It's part of deciding already which kind of dynamics you hope that will come off during the season. And then, of course, if you really want to have a lot of control over it, you can also try to push those narratives a little bit. Or more than a little bit. It depends on the point of view. Green Goddess, did you hear that amethyst is a type of quartz? I had a hint. I don't remember who told me. Javier, love your videos and streamings. Thank you. Interesting that all the episodes of International Drag Race are 1 hour long. The problem with US Drag Race is the publicity that makes the episode longer. Yeah, sometimes I did watch the episodes live, but you can also notice when they have the ad breaks if you watch the episode on a streaming platform, because there is, you know, the segment with the Ru checkers. That's how it's called, and the laugh. So you can notice how many are there. There is, I think, advertisement every 8 minutes, and it accounts for, on average, 30% of the total length. So if you watch it live, 1 hour episode is usually 1 hour and a half, with 30 minutes of advertisement and 1 hour of actual episode. So it's a lot of advertisement. It's a lot of fucking money. It's a lot of fucking... No wonder that they want to have 16 episodes, because imagine that. It's half an hour of paid advertisement for 16 times. So... Mario, is that amethyst on Sasha's babies? Could be. Could be that Sasha is a big fan of amethyst, which would feel correct as well. Girly, not top auditioning. I was not auditioning. I was not auditioning. Faye, Drag Race episodes include Untucked though. Yeah, after that. I don't know how long Untucked actually lasts, considering the commercial breaks, but I would say about 40 minutes, 35 minutes, something like that, because Untucked itself is about 18 to 20 minutes. So to stay on brand, I would say we would go to at least half an hour, including commercial. Yeah, it's a ton of money. Girly, since All Stars 8 was announced, which queens do you expect to see? That's difficult. I expect to see someone from season 12. I think it's about time that we get more queens from season 12. Also because it's one of my favorite seasons of the VH1 era. Possibly someone from season 14. Season 13 was completely forgotten. I don't think we're going to see Tina Burner anytime soon. Utica, don't even ask. It's never going to happen. Denali, maybe. The whole point with Denali is that in season 13, you can clearly see that they tried to trigger her episode after episode, and it never really worked. Not with her, not with Rosé. So it all depends on these two queens. If they feel confident that they can go into these experiences knowing that they can resist production if they try to push narratives again, then they will appear. Otherwise, they will simply say no, cut their losses and be like, okay, we did our season, however it went. We don't need any more of this, especially if it comes at a risk of losing what we worked so hard for. So when it comes to season 13, I would not bet on Denali and Rosé coming back for this season. Not yet. Maybe in the future, but not yet. From seasons before, maybe there is a good chance that we would get Nina West. It's going to be interesting if Nina is there. I will be annoying if Nina is there, that is for sure. I hope we don't get more queens from former All-Star season. I hope we get more queens from very, very early seasons. Like season 1 through 7, there is still a ton of queens that could be brought on for the show. And still, create an entertaining show. Also because those queens are hungry. They went on Drag Race when Drag Race was just a niche show watched by 50,000 people at best. So they deserve a shot. They have all of the motivation that it takes to make an amazing show. So I would like to see more of that. I would like to see more of that. JP, do you think an early out All Stars should have happened already? That's a great card to play for All Stars. So it all depends on how confident do they feel with the All Stars brand. What do I mean by that? When you feel like you're going very strong, you keep your strongest cards very close to your chest. But if you feel like you are basically at the end, then you try to pull all of the stunts that you could pull. So at the moment, I sincerely don't have an opinion if the All Stars brand is strong or not. I would guess that it is, because the Drag Race brand in general is really strong. We are also getting similar spin-offs of All Stars, the so-called Versus the World, which is really an international All Stars when you think about it. So I would say it's still strong, and I don't think, like All Stars 8, I don't think there's much of a possibility of it being a redemption season. Maybe All Stars 9. JP, after the fandom soured on Gottmik, she has a chance of coming back? Absolutely. Absolutely. Redemptions seems to have finally become a thing, which is a good thing. So there is a possibility that they would actually try to cast her. Yes. Would she accept? I don't think so. I don't think so, because Gottmik is incredibly successful as a makeup artist already. She has been before Drag Race, and she still is after Drag Race. That it's, I think, what she really likes to do. So drag, yes, it's important, but I don't think it's like the prime thing for Gottmik. So I don't see the motivation to actually come back for All Stars, especially after you know what happened recently in quotes. So no, I don't think Gottmik is very there's a good chance for Gottmik. I think there's a bigger chance for Candy Muse. Hashtag Team Candy. So no, I don't think we're going. I wouldn't bet on Gottmik being on All Stars, and I also wouldn't bet on all of the queens who clearly RuPaul is not very keen on having on the show. I mean, queens like Pearl, queens like Max, queens like Willem, queens like Jocelyn Fox, all of the queens, from what we see from the outside, RuPaul has exactly zero tolerance for being what she considers to be unprofessional. And what do I mean by that? That she's there to make a show. So independently of how you feel, independently of the opinions that you have, independently of what your core values, your job is to go on set and create a show. Nobody cares in the production team if it's fake. Nobody cares if it's difficult. Nobody cares if you're tired. You have a job to do. You have to be professional. You have to do your job. So if you end up injuring production in any ways by saying things that you were not supposed to be saying, remember, those queens spoke out in an era in which it was intolerable. Right now, we are in a completely different era. World of Wonder got smarter. They do understand that all of these things enhance the conversation over Drag Race. That's why, somehow, despite the fact that the queens are under contract to never discuss what happened on stage, yet we have them on Roscoe's happily discussing what happens on stage. Remember that time that Ongina mentioned something from season 1? I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago. And she posted, I think it was on Facebook, she posted complaining that World of Wonder contacted her to stop talking because she's still under contract. So the fact that we have all of these queens on Roscoe spilling tea, the only reasonable conclusion to me is that World of Wonder allows them to do so. And if they allow them to do so, there must be a reason for it. But regardless of this, one thing is to being allowed to say certain things. Another thing is to spill the tea on what really happens on production and put RuPaul and production in a bad light. And that's what some queens are quote unquote guilty of. So I don't think we will ever have queens like Pearl or Max or Jocelyn or Willem. There has been a rumor, I think it was an interview with Joseph Shepard that they said Willem was invited. I don't buy it for a second. I think that those are publicity stunts. At the end of the day, Willem didn't just spill a ton of tea in a time in which it was inconceivable to discuss what happened in production. Willem told RuPaul to go fuck herself. I mean, what the fuck are we talking about? You know how RuPaul is at this point. Do you think she is an executive producer of Drag Race and the face of the franchise in the US? Do you think she would ever even allow that they call Willem? I mean, girl. I do understand that publicity stunts are a thing, but come on. Let's be realistic for a moment. No, I don't think that Willem was ever invited. I don't think we will ever get Willem on All Stars. With that said, I would live for Willem on All Stars. I've been saying this for years, but I don't think it's ever going to happen. But then again, never say never. At the end of the day, if RuPaul showed us something, is that money conquers all. So maybe if she's paid enough, she will overlook and we will finally have Willem back on All Stars. So, JP, what did Jocelyn did? She called out production for allegedly wanting to cast her in a mean role, and she refused to do that. She did it on Twitter. I think it was 3 or 4 years ago. Girly, King Tyra said that she only would come back if Mamaru competes also. Oh shit. It's never going to happen. But I do appreciate the nerve. It takes nerve to call Mamaru out. Faye, allegedly they called Willem for All Stars 1, so maybe the RuPaul beef hadn't fully materialized yet. Yes, it didn't. All Stars 1, happened up after season 4. And she said that she received a call, she prepared for All Stars, and then she found out that they didn't really want her in the main show. So she made a guest appearance in All Stars 1. It was during Untucked, when we still had the Interior Illusions Lounge. Everything went downhill after that. There was the RuPaulologize song. There was all of the tea spilled about the treatment of Latrice, about the mistreatment of other people, how they tried to milk the situation with Jiggly, since I think it was her mother passed away, and it was the anniversary of her mother passing away. So production tried to stir the conversation in that direction, and Jiggly ended up crying. So there were all of these things that we know because Willem spilled them, and it all happened after that. Now, the famous fuck you to RuPaul, it happened after season 9. It was about what happened to Matthew. You know, at some point after season now, Matthew left. Allegedly, there was some bickering with RuPaul, and then at some point he ended up developing mental problems. So she had to take care of himself. I think he was admitted to a clinic. And while Willem went to actually visit him, she accused RuPaul of never even visit him, cutting him out of the show, and all of things like this. And I think Willem, she said it in multiple interviews that she told RuPaul to go fuck herself. I mean, imagine telling RuPaul to go fuck yourself, and then you are invited on her show. I mean, I don't know. I would live for the option, but I think there is exactly zero chance it will ever happen. Like, zero. Alyssa, didn't Mamoru already compete in the Christmas special? I didn't watch the Christmas special. I went 5 minutes in, then I did understand that it was a 1 hour long commercial for a RuPaul Christmas album, and I said, no, I'm not watching it. I'm sorry. I mean, Kylie was in there. I was really happy to see what she had, but then I was like, if they cast you in the Christmas special, we will probably see you on All Stars. I'm not watching this shit. Lucky for me, she did appear on All Stars. JP Medina, Mamoru is a lip sync assassin, though. Haven't you seen the Christmas special when she mopped the floor with Michelle? How dare you underestimate Mamoru's ability to stand still on a spot? That's shady as hell. But then again, I mean, RuPaul is 60. What the hell do you expect? I mean, I think she's already working her ass off. There are many people in her situation who would just stay home and cashing their checks based on the fact that, you know, the RuPaul name is a trademark. So if they want to say RuPaul's Drag Race, they need to pay Mamoru a check. She could just stay home and do nothing. Feifei, weren't you saying that All Stars 1 call was a stunt from Willem? No, not All Stars 1. All Stars 8. All Stars 8. There was an interview. Again, if I remember correctly, because I think I saw it like quickly in the shorts feed. That she said she received a call for All Stars 8. That was the reference. She was definitely called for All Stars 1. Javier, do you think Mamoru would eventually retire? Who might replace her as a host of the US Drag Race? Who would you like to be the new host? Bianca Del Rio, Bianca Del Rio, Bianca Del Rio. With that said, any queen from the franchise would feel correct, but I would like to have queens that are very, very good at judging other people. What do I mean by that? That they always recognize the human on the other side, that they can find a very good balance between making a show and give actual feedback to the people who are on the show, and generally caring about those people because they have been there themselves. They have competed themselves. They know how it feels to be told, yes, you have to do, if you do this thing, then it would be better. Then you do that thing and then you go home. You know, all things like these. I think that any queen from the franchise who actually has been there themselves, only based on that, they have a better insight of the competition than people like Ross, for example. I mean, oh, by the way, when we had the segment with the judges, they presented T.S. Madison as if she was going to be a permanent judge on the show. At least that was the impression that I had, because we had guest judges appear on Drag Race multiple times, especially after the pandemic, but I think this was the first time that we actually had a judge in there presented as part of the panel of judges. So either we get an extended panel of judges, or maybe the hilarious Ross Matthews will not appear in future seasons of Drag Race, which, I mean, think about it. Would you switch Ross for T.S. Madison? Because I think that would be the first time on Earth that 100% of the population actually agrees. So I hope it happens. I hope it happens. Mario, do you think Hat Michelle would have to also retire? Oh, that Michelle would also have to retire if RuPaul retires. Well, Michelle, I remember that she wanted to do the Spain spin-off of Drag Race. She said it in an interview that she could sound native. That was gaggy. That was really gaggy. So I would think that Michelle, yes, would try to stay on board as much as possible, even if RuPaul decides that she is at enough, she has enough money, and maybe it's not that fun for her anymore, and she just wants to live her best life and just, you know, appear on DragCon or appear in the finale. I think that there is a part of RuPaul that still enjoys being part of the franchise. There was a clip of RuPaul living her best life during DragCon. I don't know if any of you saw it. She was like DJing or so. She was dancing. She looked high as fuck. She looked like she was living her best life. So I think that RuPaul will be connected to the franchise, I think, until she cans, because I think that there is a part of it that she genuinely enjoys. With that said, I think she enjoys the check more. And so if at any point she decides that she had enough checks, I think she could possibly retire from the panel of judges, from the show itself. I don't think she would ever retire as the face of the show. So we would always have her on DragCon, we would always have her on the finale, or maybe during important episodes, or maybe only on All Stars. There's really no way to tell. I don't think she's going anywhere for at least a good 5 or 6 years. I mean, she still looks like she has incredible stamina for, you know, being 60. I mean, I don't know how much RuPaul actually stays on set, but I don't know. I think that drag is not necessarily comfortable. Doing a show is not necessarily easy, even if you're an expert in doing it. And there were times in which we have seen Mamaru seriously unhinged during the show. I don't know what happened. I don't know if she was underslept. I don't know if she worked too long. But you know, when you are 20 years old, it's easy to wake up at 7 a.m., go on set, have lunch at 4 p.m. because you had to film the whole time, then film again, then maybe have dinner at a reasonable time, and then maybe film confessionals and go to bed at 11. So you can do that at that age. RuPaul is a different age. So I think that even just being 6, 7, 8 hours on set would be incredibly tiring for her. Especially in drag. Now, we do know that she has the sweatpants thing and she doesn't wear heels 100% of the time. But still, there is a lot going on with Mamaru's makeup. You don't just happen to look like that on screen. Of course, there is some editing magic, but there is also a ton of prosthetic and makeup magic going on. By prosthetic, what I do mean is, I don't know what's the name for it, but pulling strips that basically pull your skin around in order to make it look tighter. I think they are incredibly uncomfortable to wear, especially if, you know, due to age, you have a little bit of sagging on the skin, so you have actual real pulling, trying to make everything look as smooth as possible. I think it can be incredibly uncomfortable. Come on, coffee. Yes, that's what I meant. JP, Simone would replace Ru. I bet everybody would like to replace Ru. everyone. You can see a list of queens that would try to replace Ru. With that said, I don't see many queens actually having a shot at replacing RuPaul. I think for the moment, the best candidates are Bianca Del Rio and Bob the Drag Queen. Maybe Jinx, but I don't think Jinx would actually do that. I think that what Jinx really loves to do is theater, and I think it's proof of the fact that over the many years since she appeared on Drag Race, she had a ton of theater gigs. It was not just once or twice just because they offered you to do it. It was like her main thing, alongside, of course, drag shows. At the time, we used to have Battle of the Seasons. I don't know if many of you remember that. It was a show organized by Mimiam First, and it was the equivalent of the Drag Race tour that we have today. It was really the equivalent, but it was an independent version. It was actually done by the queens themselves. I don't think that they had that Mimi had a contract with World of Wonder because of that. And then at some point, I think she sold the franchise and she was scammed over it. It was a big thing. It was really a big thing. She ended up, I think, filing for bankruptcy after that. She risked losing her house. It was really an ugly situation, like really ugly. Do you think any of the winners we have had in the regular seasons would have been better to see in All Stars? I would have liked to see the evolution of Simone, Evie, and Aquaria. Not necessarily, because most of the time I do agree with the winners that we have in there. Of course, there are always queens that I would have liked to win, but when you look at the actual top 4 that they had, the actual pool of queens that they have to decide which one they want to crown, I do 95% agree with the person that has been picked. It's really rare for me to go into a finale and be like, oh my god, I did not expect this person to win at all. Everyone felt very correct. With that said, they can always come back for All Stars. I think at this point, there is no rigid rule. If a queen is very in demand with the public, the show will find a way to show more of her. Not necessarily on All Stars. We also have the Versus the World franchise, so it could happen in there as well. So they do have a second chance. With that said, I don't know the contract for the whole winners. That's the whole point. Because the contract for the whole winner season, I bet, was very different from the contract that the queens got. Because the winners do have a strong... they already have a brand. They are not like... I don't want to use the word desperate for visibility, because it feels very... disrespectful. But the queens who participate in the normal season, they don't have worldwide visibility. It's a very, very rare exceptions that we already know who these queens are. So they're basically at the mercy of production. Whatever production will ask them to sign, they will probably sign it, because they cannot really... they cannot really sit on the table and start discussing contractual terms. Maybe some can until a certain point, but it's nowhere near the influence of an actual winner of Drag Race. So I do think that the contracts for all winners are different, and based on what is actually in there, some queens might still yes, some queens might still say no. Like, for example, Aquaria doesn't strike me like the kind of queen who would come back for an all-winner season, for example, unless the contract is very different from what the queens get in regular seasons. Another one is Sasha Velour. I mean, I'll let you guess the last one. It's a color. I don't think she will ever come back for All Stars. Even with a good contract, I don't think she would come back. It would be gaggy, though. It would be gaggy. JP, do you think Bianca would ditch her tours? It pays good, but Bonnie DeRico loves her job. I think she could do both. I mean, think about it for a moment. Filming Drag Race, it's a 2-month gig. It's literally a 2-month gig. You can still do a lot of tours. You get a lot of free publicity by being on the show. You get paid for the work that you do on the show. On the show. My God. On the job that you do on the show, and on top of that you still have 10 months for touring. So yeah, she would take it. Who wouldn't take it? Alatai, Mistress and Lux yesterday in a live, they denied the gaslighting of Lucy and said that people didn't catch their humor. I do think that there was a part of it that was humor. I think it came off very early in the season because it came off with other people as well. With that said, the whole thing was over-edited, but even taking that into account, I think it paints a pretty clear picture of what happened in the show. I think the reunion was very clear in defining the fact that Mistress played the game, despite the fact that she presented herself as real. That's the whole point. So I do think that it really happened. With that said, I don't think that none of these people will ever come out and say, yes, we did this. We did this because we were afraid, or we did this because production told us to do it, or we did this because if we didn't do it, we felt like we would be punished for it, or we did this because it was a desperate measure, or worst case scenario, we did it because we enjoyed it. None of these things will ever going to happen, will reasonably ever going to happen. So for me, the important part, I don't care if people that do these kind of things end up acknowledging responsibility, apologizing, or whatever it is. It is how it is. The past is in the past. You cannot change what happened. What I do care about is that it doesn't happen again. That's what I do care about. So I'm not in the business of trying to force people to apologize for things, or trying to force people to admit to things. You can live your own life. You can do whatever you think it's best for you, and it's your decision. It's legitimate. Nevertheless, I think that even through the edit, which by the way was very kind most of the time to both of them, we saw that something happened. What I care about is that it doesn't happen again. Period. Everything else is just, it doesn't concern me. House of Down Boots. I wish Nina would come back, but it seems like they are actively gunning against her. You talk about Nina Bonina. I think so. I don't think Drag Race is a conducive environment for Nina. I would like to see her on the show. I would like to see more, absolutely. I don't think it would be good for her. So at the end of the day, your health is more important than my entertainment. I mean, there are tons of queens that would make an entertaining show for them. We don't need to try to have at all costs some specific queens. So no, I don't think we will see her. I remember that she was asked, I think for All Stars 5, but she said that she didn't want to participate because she knew that they had a storyline prepared for her and Shay. So she said no. At least this is what she claimed. I tend to believe it because I wouldn't see the point of lying about it. I mean, you can use it for your 3 minutes of fame, yes, but then you will never receive the call. We have had many queens pretending to be on regular seasons of Drag Race. I'm not going to name anyone, but we have had them. And some pretended really hard to be on Drag Race. They never appeared on the show. Never happened. It never happened. Damien, this was the most unhinged episode of Lip Sync Battle I have ever watched. You talking about the finale, or you talking about the Lollapalooza? Elatai, Valid in my fantasy would kill a roast. Yes, and hopefully she would not be edited by Utica. But yes, I have the same feeling. I have the same thing. Imagine Bianca and Violet doing a roast. That would be amazing. Damien, Scarlet Starlet. You talk about UK? How did we get to UK? JP, say there. No, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say. First of all, I don't remember all of their names. I remember their faces. I do remember one, but I'm not going to say it. I mean, if you end up to a point where you need to pretend to be on Drag Race, you don't need to be. You're already down low enough. Jason, please bring back April Carry On. We have waited long enough. We have. Do you remember like 10 years ago? 10 years? 8 years ago. Everyone was gunning for having April Carry On back on All Stars. And by the way, she was the very, very first queen before the Drag Race package became a thing, which was in season 7. She was the very first queen who actually posted her looks on social media. She is the one who started that trend. So, and she always gets zero recognition for that. Blazing, April won All Stars, so didn't she say so? Maybe it could be. Scarlet Starlet is a queen who fooled Drag Race detectives into thinking that she was on season 8. Okay, I thought we were talking about another Scarlet, but that's fine. Girly, I can't still believe that Raja was alive after many lip syncing many times on All Stars 7. I want to have her energy. I don't know how I should take that. But I was surprised as well. I was like, Raja is just going to go in the competition and sit on Pretty and call it a day. So I was genuinely very surprised. Christos, I was busy discussing LGBTQ plus issues, but I am here. No worries. I hope you did your job well. Jinx singing in the finale felt good with my French Vanilla Fantasy. God, she is such a class act. She is, but I don't know if she sang live. Like, I know that Jinx can sing. Many of you don't know this, but some of the very first performances from Jinx, she was performing songs from Hedwig and the Angry Inch, which, by the way, is a queer masterpiece. If you haven't watched it, you should definitely watch it. She was performing song from that musical at Pride. Those are some of the very, very first videos that appeared on YouTube where you could actually see Jinx sing. And she sings live, so, and she can hold a note. I'm talking about those videos. She could hold a note. but she improved. She definitely improved. I think she trained. So it's something that we knew already. I don't know if she sang live during the act, considering that it's Drag Race and they basically never allow anyone to actually sing live. They always have to sound 100% perfect to the point where the performance feels flattened and it loses its personality in a way. So I had a feeling that it was a recorded piece that she was lip syncing. With that said, it's a possibility that she sang in the live finale. I think that is something that she would have asked to do because she can, and it's a huge platform to showcase that talent as well. But I think that what we actually saw in the actual episode was a recorded track. Javier, Starlet pretended to be on US Drag Race Season 8 and apparently now is banned. Oh, Scarlet Harlot. Okay, sorry. I confused the name. I'm sure that I think that I have the face of that person in my mind. I didn't have the name. Orchid Dude, apparently Jinx had to do the song 3 times at the finale and she finally nailed it. Really? My god, imagine having to sing 3 times in a row. Like, hey, yes, this take is not good, and then maybe they let her go for the whole performance. Like, okay, Jinx, that's good. That's good. Now please do another. We need to see we didn't catch that specific. Do another. Yeah, Jinx, fantastic. Can you do another one? Good lord. I feel like I need a cigarette. Next week, I'm trying to quit smoking again. Should we take a cigarette pause? What do you think? Do you need to go to the toilet? Do you need to grab something to drink? Something to eat? Should we shake it up? Let's shake it up. See you back in 5 minutes. Don't run away.
You don't need to be chill. I don't ever play it cool. You don't need the right skills. Don't need the right tools. You just need the guts to seize it. To seize it in the middle. You don't exactly know it, but you know it needs a little breaking up. Shake it up. Shake it up. When things start to settle down. Shake it up. Like it's a snow globe town. The city's like a bottle of sparkling wine. Pour it, pull it open, let's take some time. Shake it
Ooh, girl. It's cold. It's really cold. I should probably switch the radiator. Is it on? Oh, yes, it is. Why do I feel so... Oh, because I went outside smoking. Mario Weaselman is so quiet. He probably went to sleep. He probably went to sleep. Rasp, Sasha Velour recently said she would come back for an all winners. I'm a little behind on the stream. She said that. That would be amazing. That would be amazing and completely unexpected. I did not expect a queen like Sasha to say yes at all. That's incredibly surprising. But that's also good news. Sen, I'm drinking some Sunny D, which is Sunny D approved. Good for you. Girly, did you watch Drag Race España? Not yet. Not yet. Not yet. I didn't watch it yet. I'm in Drag Race overdose. I don't know if you noticed, but I did not particularly enjoy this season. I thought it was very mishandled. They should have done a better job. And I'm talking about World of Wonder, MTV, and Paramount. They should have done a better job. Damien, did you see that Anitra's crowning was filmed from the audience and has been posted online? No, I haven't seen it yet. I went, as usual, I go in complete blackout before the reviews. Because I tend to get influenced by things that I read, by things that I see. So sometimes I would check things out when they are pointed out on Discord, for example. Otherwise, no, not really. I haven't seen it yet. Anitra's winning line was, "You better win that fucking round." You better win that fucking crown. Paramount, yes, Paramount. It's always Paramount. I'm from Spain, ex-Moshi. I'm from Spain and I haven't seen Drag Race España yet. Tomorrow will be the first thing I do. No, we haven't watched it yet. We still haven't watched it. I made a point to actually check it out because it's been highly, highly recommended. So I haven't watched it yet. What will probably happen if it's really as good as they say is that at some point I will randomly decide to put it on, and then if it's good I will binge watch it in like 2 days. That's what happens when I really do enjoy something. I cannot, when it comes to visual media, it's really difficult for me not to binge watch. And then what usually happens is when it's something that I really do enjoy, I leave a little piece of it out to watch it later, to remind me, you know, of that experience that I loved so much. So yeah, I know it's a weird approach, but then again, it's me. What do you expect? Christos, let's say the current top 4 was eliminated. Oh, that's an interesting question. Which other queens do you think would have been perfect for a top 4? I would have liked to see Amethyst, possibly with a lovable weirdo kind of edit. Lucy with a professional kind of edit. Spice as the young and talented, and with a little bit side of delusion, but not in a bad way. Like delusion, like the way they edited Valentina on All Stars, you know, that kind of loving way of showing that yes, you can. It's not a delusion; it's your fantasy. I think I would have enjoyed to see more of Spice, yes. For the 4th queen, I would have probably gone with Robin, just because I think that I saw absolutely nothing of Robin. and to the point where I have no idea who she actually is. When I see Robin, I still see a strong resemblance to Jada, not only in the appearance, in the way she carried herself. So I connect a lot to that, which is a good thing, because it's always good when you connect somebody to something positive, but it's not a realistic thing, because you don't really have seen much of that person. Otherwise, I think Jax could have been a very well alternate to Robin. And yeah, if we didn't have the current top 4, I would have probably liked to see those queens. It would have been interesting. It would have been interesting. Maybe if they decided to go with a proper Ether-headed, Irene could have done an incredible job during the season, all the way to the top 4 instead of Lucy as the professional. It would have worked better with the characters and the storylines. No, not storylines, archetypes. It would have worked better. But at the end of the day, I think that this was a very, very strong cast. I don't take it back what I said in the very beginning of the season. I think that in casting they did a fantastic job, because they managed to bring on the show very different queens who represented very different kind of drag, but also very different kind of personalities, very different kind of racial background, very different sizes. So all in all, I think they did a fantastic job in casting. I think what went downhill was the 40 minutes episode, which really looks like it was a last minute kind of thing, and it kind of went downhill because of that. Because when you rush a job like editing reality television, I mean, it's incredibly difficult to create a good and consistent product. It seems simple, but it's a very long, it's a work intensive thing to do. So I will cut them a little bit of a slack for that. But generally, I think the way they organized the elimination order, if they indeed did so, was not very wise. Let's say it like that. It was not very wise. Damien, you still haven't gotten around Thailand season 2. No, we never finished episode 1 yet. Ax Moshi, you should watch the season 1 and especially season 2. Drag Race España is crazy good. Yes, that's all of, believe me, since those season aired, I haven't had one single person coming on Livestream telling me, don't watch it, it's not good. If anything, it's been the constant opposite. Tai, Jada Essence All as a host would be so fresh to see. Yes, I am on board with that. I don't think it's realistic. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think World of Wonder realizes that Jada is a gold mine. But yes, of course. Nightmare Spain season 2 episode 2 is Chef's Kiss Perfection. It's going to be a long time before I get along season 2. I first have to go through season 1. Damien, when Jada's season 12 promo was posted, people tweeted at Robin like, oh my god, Robin Fierce is on Drag Race. Did they? Are you making that up? Which episode do you think suffered more from the 40-minute constraint? Well, it's hard because I can hardly recall the season at this point. That's how relevant it was for me. But let me bring home the challenge list and I can give you an opinion on that. I don't think the split premiere was really a problem. But then again, those were 1-hour episodes. What do we have? Oh, the Snatch Game. Absolutely. absolutely the Snatch Game. We hardly saw anything from some queens. I mean, they did the whole thing with the split Snatch Game at the beginning of the season. They're trying to bank a lot on all of that. But yes, I do think that everything else could be reasonably cut to a 40-minute acting challenges, for example. They can be easily cut down to 40 minutes episodes and still find a way to have a compelling narrative. But when you have a ton of queens performing Snatch Game, you need to give a queen at least a couple of questions to shine. They need to each have at least 1 minute to 1 minute and a half that it's like specifically for them. We didn't get that. During Snatch Game, we just basically got the tops and the bottom, and that was it. Elatai, which queens from the first seasons would have been perfect for modern Drag Race? I don't think none of them. You don't know what it was like when social media was not a thing. Reality television was a very different thing. Drag Race was a very different show. I don't think none of them was really prepared for what modern Drag Race actually is. Because so many things have changed and so many things have become more difficult to manage. Social media is the very, very first thing, because you are never really free to just be yourself, to just say the things that you mean, to just act the way that you feel, in good or bad. Because everything that you say can and will be posted and reposted for years to come. You will never be redeemed for anything. That's also one of the reasons why people have a deterrent to actually to take accountability for things. Because it means exposing themselves to the fact that some people will never forgive and forget. Some people never will be there to understand. If anything, what happened to Jeremy is like the quintessential proof of this. You still have people talking incredible shit, forgetting that first of all, she took charge for everything that she said, even back in the day, and social media was not yet a thing. She came to the reunion and says, yes, I look at the show and I look completely insane. So she was also vocal about the fact that trying to sabotage other people was not only incited, but it was carried on by many other queens. That's what everybody else was doing. Apart from Latrice, apparently. So, Latrice and Chad Michaels. So, you know, it's the social media thing is it's a beast all on its own. On top of that, Drag Race requires that you really spend a lot of either money or time or favors or have special deals with stylists, because in a matter of 4, 6, maybe 8 weeks, you have to prepare those amazing runways that have become the normality on Drag Race. If you don't come to the runway with amazing things, people will nitpick the shit out of it. And I'm like, yes, we can give our impressions on the dress. You can like things, you can dislike them, but at the end of the day, you don't like guilty people because, oh my god, you looked so much like shit, you deserve to be on the body. Come on, let's cut everybody a little bit of slack. There are things that I do not enjoy, but I'm mostly vocal about things that people actually do on the show, you know, where you don't, where it's not a game of money. So you have the social media thing, you have the expense to go on Drag Race, and then the fact that Drag Race is a completely different game than what it used to be. Performance, the judging used to be incredibly more realistic in the earlier season. It was very difficult to come to a point where you say, oh my god, that queen won and that queen is in the bottom. It still happened because it's reality television, but it didn't happen as often as it happens today. Like today, it's normalized that you never know who is going to win because you never know who production will reward for what. and then things that are rewarded in one episode somehow become things that are negative things in another episode or in another season. So it's very normalized that you just go on Drag Race and realize that it's not really a competition. It's framed as a competition, but it's not really a competition. So you don't have to get frustrated if you don't win, or you don't need to get overly confident if you do win, because at the end of the day, it's a show. In the very, very early seasons of Drag Race, we didn't have this. It was a lot more a competition than what it is today. So getting out of that mindset and fit into this new mindset could make for some queen very difficult, because they would equate the judgment on Drag Race to a judgment of their talent as people. So I think it would be very taxing psychologically. So no, I don't think that if you would take those queens that participated like from season 1 to 3, for example, and teleport them in time to today and throw them on Drag Race, they would be eaten by the producers. They wouldn't stand a chance. They would really not stand a chance. If the producers wants to fuck them over, they would be fucked over so bad to the point where I don't even think that what happened to Jan or Britta would be even close to what it would expect them, what they should expect. No. And even when Ongina came back after all of these years, and she had a chance to actually witness how the game changed, how Drag Race became different, she struggled a lot to keep up. She struggled a lot to keep up, which was a pity. Of course, it also didn't help that Miss Relatable tried to get in her head. It didn't help. It was completely expected. We had a couple of episodes discussing just that. Miss Relatable was quite smart in admitting to that, but it didn't help. I mean, you're already a queen from a very, very early season. You have basically to reestablish yourself from the ground up. It's a completely different game, and despite the fact that you know that it's a completely different game, there is a difference between knowing something and being able to face something. I don't think she was able to face the fact that it was a different competition. And on top of that, you have someone trying to fuck you over. So I am waiting to see queens from earlier seasons, and I hope they are very well prepared to it. Girly, the Cryptiques weren't present just in the premiere for Ariana Grande. No, it wasn't the Cryptiques, it was the Deliberation. That was a part that was cut out. We had some of the Cryptiques, way less than what we usually got with the 1 hour episode. What they did skip was the Deliberation part, where they send the queens to Untucked and the judges actually spill out the complete narrative for the judging. Because sometimes, and it happened, we've seen it happen in the what was it, episode 13? Episode, I think 13 or 12, where they were really, really nice to the queens, and then we actually saw the Deliberation, and it was a completely different story. Like, they didn't tell it to their face, they only told it to the audience. So yeah, the Deliberation were cut out. Jason, if I found myself in Snatch Game, I would do my best as Jeffrey Goldstein. Oh my god. I appreciate the reference, thank you. Thank you. Nobody would know what you're talking about or who this person is, but it could also be a point in your favor. Nightmare, can we talk about Harvey Guyen? Guylin? I'm sorry, I cannot pronounce that. Is it French? I don't remember a single critique he said, but he is a beautiful, beautiful man. Oh, Harvey. Yes, I know. I saw him too. Oh, yes. I agree with that. Give him like 4 or 5 years more to, develop some signs of wisdom in his face, because he looks incredibly young, a little bit too young. So give him a little bit of time to, actually fully mature. Let's say it like this. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Sapaya, which queens would you consider game changers? Yuki did an interesting video about that. Well, that's a hard question. Because game changer would, for me, it would mean that they completely changed a perspective that I had. That they made me change drastically my mind about something, or they exposed me to something that I never ever witnessed before. And on top of that, that the effect of what they did resonated so much that a lot of people actually saw it. That's the basic definition of game changer for me. I think it's much easier to go back and go to the very, very early season, because today it's very difficult to be a game changer on Drag Race, because we have seen basically every possible side of drag at this point. I think that She Who Shall Not Be Named brought a very different aspect of drag that almost nobody was aware of. I wasn't aware of. And that primed me to what would eventually become, let's say it like this, that mainstream show that is Dragula, which is my favorite drag competition at the moment. So I thought it was a game changer at the time. I thought that Jinx was a game changer at the time, not only from an editing and storytelling perspective, but the fact that she basically brought on the idea of theater drag, which is something that I didn't really consider in the beginning. I didn't really imagine it in the beginning, even though drag has been part of theater and arguably one of the most influential part of queer culture are movies that emerged as theater performances, like, for example, the Rocky Horror Picture Show, like, for example, Hedwig and the Angry Inch. Those are like immortal in my mind. But the side that Jinx brought was not just musical, it was something more. It was theater performance, it was comedy, but it was also music. It was a very different approach to what I consider drag from my perspective at the time and from what Drag Race was serving at the time. So absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. And probably I would have to add Violet to the mix. Violet, I think, on Drag Race was my real first impression of fashion taken to the extreme, if it even makes sense. Because we had Raja before, but still, when I saw Raja, I had the feeling that I could understand what was going on. When Violet started doing it, I had no idea what she was doing. I didn't understand why people were living for it. It took genuine effort to understand the talent behind it. Did everybody catch that? I don't know. Alatai, what did you think about Acid Baddie in Season 8? She was not received very well. I thought she was entertaining. I didn't take it so seriously, the whole beefy thing that she was having. I thought that they cast her on the show and told her, be a little bit shady. And she was a little bit shady. But then again, those were all queens from New York. They knew each other's. They knew what they were doing. So I thought it was mostly an editing thing. And I think that everybody got it. So I did enjoy Acid Batty. With that said, I don't think that her heart was showcased enough. Because again, at the time, we didn't see what Acid Batty was doing is something that we didn't really see before on Drag Race. So it would have been interesting to see more of that. Sabaya, I need Kasha Davis or Jaden for All Stars. Jaden has completely disappeared. Like, I hear nothing of Jaden Your Fears. Nothing. I don't know if it's a good thing. It could be a good thing. But I don't see, like, I don't think she does online content. I don't think she participates in podcasts. So I don't know about that. I don't know why. I don't know if she still does drag. I don't know. I heard nothing. And Mrs. Kasha Davis is Mrs. Kasha Davis. I mean, there's always time for a cock. That's what I always say as well. How could you say no to that? More representation for season 7. Please, it's time. It's time. Let's try to not forget season 7 and just stick to the top girls. There is much more to that. Much more. I'm really curious to see the cast. Please don't send spoilers, don't send rumors. I'm really curious to wait till they announce the cast, which at this point I think it would be a good advertisement maneuver to do it probably next week. Probably next week or in a couple of weeks, because I read that it starts in the middle of May. I think that it was actually advertised in the finale. So the middle of May. So it's 1 month from now. I would say 2 weeks for the Meet the Queens or reveal. Maybe reveal next week and then Meet the Queens the week after. Could it be? So I'm really curious to see who is in there. Really curious. And you will know why. I will show you why. Nightmare, I remember I didn't enjoy Acid Batty during her season, but honestly I only started to see Drag Race as production was until All Stars 2. Okay, from All Stars 2. Since I got spoiled the entire season, remember when you guys stopped seeing the show as a competition? Well, for me, I started to realize it around season 7, season 8. I had a pretty good idea it stopped being a competition, like a proper competition. There were still competing aspects of it, but I used to watch Drag Race in a very naive way. Very naive way. So I was completely on board. I was like, oh my god, she won this challenge. She is clearly the best. There is no questioning that. Like, that was the mindset. So season 7, season 8. It didn't happen overnight. It was a long process, so it took a little bit of time. One thing that I do remember, though, is that, the Reddit, the subreddit was created at some point during season 4. I joined it during season 5. I remember that for years, like literally 4 years, until I left the subreddit, which I think it was around season 9 or something like that, we had people coming to the subreddit, shit posting about Roxy Andrews and Fifi O'Hara. And we talked a lot about that because there were many different opinions. That was something that I really appreciated about the Reddit at the time, because it was very similar to the discussions that we actually have here on stream or the things that we discuss on Discord. It's not really, it didn't used to be an echo chamber. So you would have a lot of people coming in and saying things like, well, but did you notice that this queen said that this thing happened? And if you go back and watch the show, you can actually see that it's a different confessional. So what gives? And then you would have other people saying, yes, listen, it happened, it was on camera, but also this other queen apologized. She's trying to move on. So why should we keep bashing them years after the fact happened? And then somebody else would come in and say, listen, we can talk about Roxy being a bitch to Jinx in season 5, but one thing is, we talk it here because you just realized that the show exists and you need to vent because it triggered you. But it's a different thing if, you know, you go and talk to these people because, you know, 2 years have passed. These people moved on. So it was a calderon of ideas. It was a calderon of opinions. It was a very, very different place than what it is today. It was very... there was a very big sense of community. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Girly, what do you think about an all-villain season and having Willem, Pearl, Courtney, and Nina? My God. No, Pearl was not a villain. Come on, she was not portrayed as a villain. Not even Willem was portrayed as a villain. None of those people were actually portrayed as villains. I mean, they were not portrayed as saints, especially if there was something on their faces. But no. I don't need that. I don't need that. What I do want to see is people getting a proper second chance. I regret that it happened so late, but at least it happened, like what we saw happening to Raja O'Hara. So I'm happy that it happened, but other people had to pave the way for that. I mean, Jeremy was completely fucked over in All Stars 2. Roxy was completely fucked over in All Stars 2. I remember they did a reunion for All Stars 2, and I will never forget this, that RuPaul looked at Roxy straight in her eyes and said, "Oh, Roxy, you know what? You don't get a redemption edit. You earn a redemption edit, and you definitely earned it." And then you have Roxy outside of the show saying, listen, they tried to get the worst out of me. They tried. Constantly put me in the bottom, constantly give me critiques that were not necessarily fair, but I gave them nothing. So what happened to Roxy in All Stars 2? I wouldn't go as far. I wouldn't call it a redemption edit. I wouldn't even call it a redemption chance at all. She survived All Stars 2. And I would also argue that she was also lucky that much of the energy of production was concentrated on Jeremy. So she was... you know, to me, it looked like you have a pack of wolves and 2 preys, and one manages to escape because the other one gets eaten. That's what it looked like to me. So, I do enjoy the fact that finally we have a more humane representation of some people, especially people who have been done incredibly wrong. Nightmare, Britta needs a redemption. They did her so dirty, they own it to her. I don't know if Britta would come back. Like, what happened to her was so drastic, was so at the limit, that, or maybe she might come back, yes, because in my eyes she is the ultimate reason why at some point the production was forced to course correct. Like, the next thing that would have happened after an attempt to take your own life is somebody actually losing their own life. So after that, everything changed. So I don't think that they would even attempt, and I'm talking about production, they would even attempt to portray her in any way that's not positive. I don't know if she mentally would ever like to go back to that place. I don't know that. It was rough. It was really rough. So, but best wishes. She deserves all of it. She's incredibly talented and she deserves better. We will see. We'll have to see. Okay, let's call it a night, and we will resume the live streams for All Stars. It's going to be in a couple of months. Meanwhile, I will be on Discord. I can finally catch up on some things that I wanted to do. For the future, I would like to start Drag Money at some point, whenever I will feel ready to actually go there, because it's going to be incredibly harsh. If you think what happened during the last video was harsh, you have no idea what's to come. So I'm going to need your support for that, because it's going to be really hard to address some things. But there are a couple of things that I would like to do before that. I will see if I have time to actually do that. Maybe I will just take a pause from everything for a month. Or maybe I will just surprise you and have a special video out. We will see. We will see. What we do know for sure is that I haven't finished the kitchen for Mr. Invisible. It's 2 or 3 days of work, so it's probably my next weekend. That's what I will be doing. And then we see what comes out. So in the meantime, we are on Discord. I will probably be on game night on Friday night. So if you miss me, just drop on Discord on Friday. And for everything else, use the comment section. You can contact me via email. If you are on Patreon, you can write me on Patreon. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Discord. So I'm not difficult to find. So I'll see you soon. Have a great time. Have a great 4 weeks. And finger crossed that we get an interesting All-Star season. Thank you so much for joining. Have a good night, and I will see you soon.